July 1st, AA Thought for the Day. In the following, the AA program with its 12 steps, we have the advantage of a better understanding of our problems. Day after day, our sobriety results in the formation of new habits, normal habits. As each 24-hour period ends, we find that the business of staying sober is much less trying and fearsome ordeal than it seemed in the beginning. Do I find it easier as I go along? Meditation for the day. Learn the daily lesson of trust and calm in the midst of the storms of life. Whatever of sorrow or difficulty this day may bring, God's command to you is the same. Be grateful, humble, calm, and loving to all people. Leave each soul the better for having met you or heard you. For all kinds of people, this should be your attitude: a loving desire to help and an infectious spirit of calmness and trust in God. You have the answer to loneliness and fear, which is calm faith in the goodness and purpose in the universe. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may be calm in the midst of storms. I pray I may pass on this calmness to others who are lonely and full of fear. July 2nd, AA Thought for the Day. In the association with the members of the AA group to which we belong, we have the advantage of sincere friendship and understanding of the other members who, through social and personal contact, take us away from our old haunts and environments and help to remove, in large measure, the occasions of alcoholic suggestion. We find in this association a sympathy and a willingness on the part of most members to do everything in their power to help us. Do I appreciate the wonderful fellowship of AA? Meditation for the day. Except ye become as little children, ye cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. In this saying, it is urged that all who seek heaven on earth or in the hereafter should become like little children, in seeking things of the Spirit and in our faith. We should try to become childlike, even as we grow older. The years of seeking can give us the attitude of the trusting child. Not only for its simple trust should we have the childlike spirit, but also for its joy in life, its ready laughter, its lack of criticism, and its desire to share. In Charles Dickens' story, A Christmas Carol, even old Scrooge changed when he got the child spirit. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may become like a child in faith and hope. I may pray that I may become like a child, friendly and trusting. July 3rd, AA Thought for the Day. In the beginning of Alcoholics Anonymous, there were only 2 persons. Now, there are many groups and thousands of members. True, the surface has only been scratched. There are probably 10 million or more persons in America alone who need our help. More and more people are making a start in AA each day. In the case of individual members, the beginning has been accomplished when they admit that they are powerless and turn to a power greater than themselves. Admitting that their lives have become unmanageable, that a higher power works for all in good things and helps to accomplish much in individual growth and in the growth of AA groups. Am I doing my part in helping AA to grow? Meditation for the day. Blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Only in the fullness of faith can the heart sick and faint and weary be satisfied, healed, and rested. Think of the wonderful spiritual revelation still to be found by those who are trying to live the spiritual life. Much of life is spiritually unexplored country. Only to the consecrated and loving people who walk with God in spirit can these spiritual discoveries be revealed. Keep going forward and growing in righteousness. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may not be held back by the material things of the world. I pray that I may let God lead me forward. July 4th, AA Thought for the Day. In Alcoholics Anonymous, there is no thought of individual profit, no greed or gain, no membership fees, no dues, only voluntary contributions of our money and ourselves. All that we hope for is sobriety and regeneration so that we can live normal, respectable lives and can be recognized by others as men and women willing to do unto others as we would be done by. These things we accomplish by the end of each other, by following the 12 steps, and by the grace of God. Am I willing to work for AA without material gain to myself? Meditation for the day. What is sometimes called a conversion by religion is often only the discovery of God as a friend in need. What is sometimes called religion is often only the experiencing of the help and strength of God's power in our lives. What is sometimes called holiness is often only the invitation of God to be our friend. As God becomes your friend, you become a friend to others. We experience true human friendship, and from this experience, we can imagine what kind of a great friend God can be. We believe Him to be a tireless, selfless, all-conquering, miracle-working friend. We can reach out to the great friend and figuratively take His hand in ours. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may think of God as a great friend in need. I pray that I may go along with Him. July 5th, AA Thought for the Day. Until we came into AA, most of us had tried desperately to stop drinking. We were filled with the delusion that we could drink like our friends. We tried time and again to take it or leave it, but we could do neither. We always lapsed into ceaseless, unhappy drinking. Families, friends, and employers threw up their hands in hurt bewilderment, in despair, and finally in disgust. We wanted to stop. We realized that every reason for drinking was only a crazy excuse. Have I given up every excuse for drinking? Meditation for the day. Many things can upset you, and you can easily get off the track. But remember that God is near you all the time, ready to help you if you call on Him. You cannot forever stand against God's will for you, nor can you forever upset God's plan for your life, even though God's plan may be postponed by your willfulness and deliberate choice of evil. A whole world of men and women cannot permanently change God's laws, nor His purpose for the universe. The sea of life may look very rough to us, but we can believe that our captain steers the boat on a straight course. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may try to steer a straight course. I pray that I may accept God's direction in my life's journey. July 6th, AA Thought for the Day. We tried to steady our alcoholic problem, wondering what was the cause of our strange obsession. Many of us took special treatments, hospitalization, even confinement in institutions. In every case, the relief was only temporary. We tried through crazy excuses to convince ourselves that we knew why we drank, but we went on regardless. Finally, drinking had gone far beyond even a habit. We had become alcoholics, men and women who had been destroying themselves against their own will. Am I completely free from my alcoholic obsession? Meditation for the day. Ask, and ye shall receive. Never let yourself think you cannot do something useful, or that you never will be able to accomplish a useful task. The fact is that you could do practically anything in the field of human relationships if you are willing to call on God's supply of strength. The supply may not be immediately available because you may not be entirely ready to receive it, but it will surely come when you are properly prepared for it. As you grow spiritually, a feeling of being plentifully supplied by God's strength will possess you, and you will be able to accomplish many useful things. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may claim God's supply of strength by my faith in Him. I pray that it shall be given to me according to my faith. July 7th, AA Thought for the Day. We had become hopelessly sick people, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. The power that controlled us was greater than ourselves. It was John Barleycorn. Many drinkers have said, I hadn't gone that far. I hadn't lost my job on account of drink. I still had my family, and I managed to keep out of jail. True, I took too much sometimes, and I guess I managed to make quite an ass of myself when I did. But I still thought I could control my drinking. I didn't really believe that I was an alcoholic. If I was one of these, have I fully changed my mind? Meditation for the day. Painful as the present time may be, you will one day see the reason for it. You will see that it was not only testing, but also a preparation for the life work that you are to do. Have faith that your prayers and aspirations will someday be answered in a way that perhaps seems painful to you, but is the only right way. Selfishness and pride often make us want things that are not good for us. They need to be burned out of our natures. We must be rid of the blocks that are holding us back before we can expect our prayers to be answered. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may be willing to go through a time of testing. I pray that I may trust God for the outcome. July 8th, AA Thought for the Day. AA members will tell you that they can look back and clearly see that they were out of control long before they finally admitted it. Every one of us has gone through that stage when we wouldn't admit that we were alcoholics. It takes a lot of punishment to convince us, but one thing is certain. We all know from our actual experience that when it comes to dishing out punishment, John Barleycorn has no equal. Have I any reservations as to my status as an alcoholic? Meditation for the day. There is a force for good in the world, and when you are cooperating with that force for good, good things happen to you. You have free will. You have the choice to be on the right side or the wrong side. This force for good we call God's will. God has a purpose for the world, and He has a purpose for your life. He wants you to bring all your desires into oneness with His desires. He can only work through people. If you try to make God's will your will, you will be guided by Him. You will be in the stream of goodness, carried along by everything that is right. You will be on God's side. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may try to make God's will my will. I pray that I may keep in the stream of goodness in the world. July 9th. AA Thought for the Day. Disillusionment and spiritual confusion mark our age. Many of us have cast aside old ideas without acquiring new ones. Many men and women are creeping through life on their hands and knees merely because they refuse to rely on any power but themselves. Many of them feel that they are being brave and independent, but actually they are only courting disaster. Anxiety and the inferiority complex have become the greatest of all modern plagues. In AA, we have the answer to these ills. Have I ceased to rely on myself only? Meditation for the day. Disillusionment and doubt spoil life. The doubting ones are the disillusioned ones. When you are in doubt, you are on the fence. You are not going anywhere. Doubt poisons all action. Well, I don't know. So you don't know anything. You should meet life with a yes, an affirmative attitude. There is good in the world, and we can follow that good. There is power available to help us do the right thing. Therefore, we will accept that power. There are miracles of change in people's lives. Therefore, we will accept those miracles as evidence of God's power. Prayer for the day. I pray that I will not be paralyzed by doubt. I pray that I may go along on the venture of faith. July 10th, AA Thought for the Day. We in Alcoholics Anonymous do not enter into theological discussions, but in carrying our message, we attempt to explain the simple how of the spiritual life. How faith in a higher power can help you to overcome loneliness, fear, and anxiety. How it can help you to get along with other people. How it can make it possible for you to rise above pain, sorrow, and despondency. How it can help you to overcome your desires for the things that destroy. Have I reached a simple, effective faith? Meditation for the day. Expect miracles of change in people's lives. Do not be held back by unbelief. People can be changed, and they are often ready and waiting to be changed. Never believe that human nature cannot be changed. We see changed people every day. Do you have the faith to make those changes possible? Modern miracles happen every day in the lives of people. All miracles are in the realm of personalities. Human nature can be changed and is always being changed. But we must have enough faith so that we can be channels for God's strength into the lives of others. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may have the faith to expect miracles. I pray that I may be used by God to help change the lives of others. July 11th, AA Thought for the Day. We in Alcoholics Anonymous do not try to chart the path for the human soul or try to lay out a blueprint of the working of faith as one might plan a charity drive. We do tell the newcomer that we have renewed our faith in a higher power. In the telling, our faith is further renewed. We believe that the faith is always close at hand, waiting for those who will listen to the heartbeat of the Spirit. We believe there is a force for good in the universe, and that if we link up with this force, we are carried onward to a new life? Am I in this stream of goodness? Meditation for the day. God will protect you from the forces of evil if you will rely on Him. You can face all things through the power of God which strengthens you. Once God has set you His stamp and His seal of ownership, all His strength will serve and protect you. Remember that you are a child of the Father. Realize that the Father's help is always ready and available to all His children, so that they can face anything. God will do all that is necessary for your spiritual well-being if you will let Him live His way. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may rely on God as I go through this day. I pray that I may feel deeply secure no matter what happens to me. July 12th, AA Thought for the Day. Today is ours. Let us live today as we believe God wants us to live. Each day will have a new pattern which we cannot foresee, but we can open each day with a quiet period in which we say a little prayer, asking God to help us through the day. Personal contact with God, as we understand Him, will, from day to day, bring us nearer to an understanding of His will for us. At the close of each day, we offer Him thanks for another day of sobriety. A full, constructive day has been lived, and we are grateful. Am I asking God each day for strength and thanking Him each night? Meditation for the day. If you believe that God's grace has saved you, then you must believe that He is meaning to save you yet more and to keep you in the way that you should go. Even human rescuers would not save you from drowning, only to place you in other deep and dangerous waters. Rather, they would place you on dry land, there to restore you. God, who is your rescuer, would certainly do this, and even more. God will complete the task He sets out to do. He will not throw you overboard if you are depending on Him. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may trust God to keep me in the way. I pray that I may rely on Him not to let me go. July 13th, AA Thought for the Day. Before alcoholics come into AA, they are flying blind. But AA gives them a directed beam in the AA program. As long as they keep on this beam, the signal of sobriety keeps coming through. If they have a slip, the signal is broken. If they swing off course into drunkenness, the signal stops. Unless they regain AA, the directed beam, they are in danger of crashing against the mountain peak of despair. Am I on the beam? Meditation for the day. Be expectant. Constantly expect better things. Believe that what God has in store for you is better than anything you had ever had before. The way to grow old happily is to expect better things right up until the end of your life, and even beyond that. A good life is a growing, expanding life with ever widening horizons, an ever greater circle of friends and acquaintances, and an ever greater opportunity for usefulness. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may wait with complete faith for the next good thing in store for me. I pray that I may always keep an expectant attitude towards life. July 14th, AA Thought for the Day. One of the best things about the AA program is the peace of mind and serenity that it can bring to us. In our drinking days, we had no peace of mind or serenity. We had the exact opposite, a kind of turmoil, and that quiet desperation we knew so well. The turmoil of our drinking days was caused partly by our physical suffering, the terrible hangovers, the cold sweats, the shakes, and the jitters. But it was caused even more by our mental suffering, the loneliness, the feeling of inferiority, the lying, the remorse that every alcoholic understands. Have I achieved more peace of mind? Meditation for the day. Try to look for God's leading in all your personal relationships and all your dealings with other persons. God will help you to take care of your relationships with people if you are willing to let Him guide you. Rejoice that God can protect you and keep you from temptation and failure. God can protect you in all situations during the day if you will rely on His strength and go forward. You should feel that you are entering upon the stage of success and the proper way of living. You should not doubt that better things are ahead for you. Go forward unafraid because you feel deeply safe under God's protection. I pray that God may protect me and keep me as long as I try to serve Him. I pray that I may go forward today unafraid. July 15th, AA Thought for the Day. After we had sobered up through the AA program, we gradually began to get a peace of mind and serenity which we never thought were possible. This peace of mind is based on a feeling that fundamentally all is well. That does not mean that all is well on the surface of things. Little things can keep going wrong, and big things can keep on upsetting us. But deep down in our hearts, we know that everything eventually is going to be all right. Now that we are living sober lives, have I achieved a deep down inner calm? Meditation for the day. You are climbing up the ladder of life, which reaches into eternity. Would God plant your feet upon an insecure ladder? Its supports may be out of sight, hidden in secret places. But if God has asked you to step on and up firmly, then surely He has secured your ladder. Faith gives you the strength to climb steadily this ladder of life. You should leave your security to God and trust Him not to let you fall. He is there to give you all the power you need to keep on climbing. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may climb the ladder of life without fear. I pray that I may progress steadily through the rest of my life with faith and confidence. July 16th, AA Thought for the Day. We can believe that God is in heaven, in His heaven, and that He has a purpose for our lives, which will eventually work out as long as we try to live the way we believe He wants us to live. It has been said that we should wear the world like a loose garment. That means that nothing should seriously upset us because we have a deep, abiding faith that God will always take care of us. To us, that means not to be too upset by the surface wrongness of things, but to feel deeply secure in the fundamental goodness and purpose in the unlimited universe. Do I feel deeply secure? Meditation for the day. Like the shadow of a great rock in a desert land, God is your refuge from the ills of life. The old hymn says, Rock of ages, cleft for me, let me hide from myself in thee. God can be your shelter from the storm. God's power can protect you from every temptation and defeat. Try to feel His divine power. Call on it, accept it, and use it. Armed with power, you can face anything. Each day, seek safety in God's secret place, in communion with Him. You cannot be wholly touched or seriously harmed there. God can be your refuge. Prayer for the day. I pray that I might find a haven in the thought of God. I pray that I might abide in that strong tower, strongly guarded. July 17th. AA Thought for the Day. The new life of sobriety we are learning to live in AA is slowly growing on us, and we are beginning to get some of that deep peace of mind and serenity that we never thought were possible. At first, may have doubted that this could happen to us, but after any considerable length of time in AA, looking at the happy faces around us, we can know that somehow it is happening to us. In fact, it cannot help happening to anyone who takes the AA program seriously, day to day. Can I see my own happiness reflected in the faces of others? Meditation for the day. God does not withhold His presence from you. He does not refuse to reveal more of His truth to you. He does not hold back His Spirit from you. He does not withhold the strength that you need. He does not withhold the strength that you want. His presence, His truth, His Spirit, His strength are always immediately available to you, whenever you are fully willing to receive them. But they may be blocked off by selfishness, intellectual pride, fear, greed, and materialism. We must try to get rid of these blocks and let God's Spirit come in. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may remove all blocks that are keeping me from God. I pray that I may let God come into my life with power. July 18th. AA Thought for the Day. Two things can spoil group unity: gossip and criticism. To avoid these divisive things, we must realize that we are all in the same boat. We're like a group of people in a lifeboat after the steamer has sunk. If we're going to be saved, we've got to pull together. It's a matter of life or death for us. Gossip and criticism are sure ways of disrupting any AA group. We're all in AA to keep sober ourselves and to help each other to keep sober. And neither gossip nor criticism helps anyone to stay sober. Am I often guilty of gossip or criticism? Meditation for the day. We should try to be grateful for all the blessings we have received and which we do not deserve. Gratitude to God for all His blessings will make us humble. Remember that we could do little by ourselves, and now we must rely largely on God's grace in keeping ourselves and others, people who do not care much for those who are smug and self-satisfied, or those who gossip and criticize. But people are impressed by true humility. So we should try to walk humbly at all times. Gratitude to God and true humility are what makes us effective. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may walk humbly with God. I pray that I may rely on His grace to carry me through. July 19th. AA Thought for the Day. Gossip about or criticism of personalities has no place in an AA club room. Every man in AA is a brother, and every woman is a sister, as long as he or she is a member of AA. We ought not to gossip about the relationships of any man or woman in the group. And if we say about another member, I think she or he is taking a few drinks on the side, it is the worst thing we could do to that person. If a man or a woman is not living up to AA principles or has a slip, it is up to her or him to stand up in a meeting and say so. If they don't do that, they're only hurting themselves. Do I talk about other members behind their back? Meditation for the day. To God, a miracle of change in a person's life is only a natural happening. But it is a natural happening operated by spiritual forces. There is no miracle in personalities too marvelous to be an everyday happening. But miracles happen only to those who are fully guided and strengthened by God. Marvelous changes in people's natures happen so simply, and yet they are free from all other agencies than the grace of God. But these miracles have been prepared for by days and months of longing for something better. They are always accompanied by a real desire to conquer self and to surrender one's life to God. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may expect miracles in the lives of people. I pray that I may be used to help people change. July 20th, AA Thought for the Day. We must be loyal to the group and to each member of it. We must never accuse members behind their backs or even to their faces. It's up to them to tell us themselves if anything is wrong. More than that, we must not try to think bad things about any members, because if we do, we're consciously or unconsciously hurting that person. We must be loyal to each other if AA is going to be successful. While we're in this lifeboat, trying to save ourselves from each other and from alcoholism, we must truly and sincerely be helpful to each other. Am I a loyal member of my group? Meditation for the day. Carry out God's guidance as best you can. Leave the results to Him. Do this obediently and faithfully, with no question that if the working out of the guidance is left in God's hands, the results will be all right. Believe that the guidance God gives you has already been worked out by God to produce the desired results according to your case and in your circumstances. So follow God's guidance according to your conscience. God has knowledge of your individual life and character, your capabilities and your weaknesses. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may live according to the dictates of my conscience. I pray that I may leave the results to God. July 21st, AA Thought for the Day. If we feel the need to say something to put another member on the right track, we should try to say it with understanding and sympathy, not with a critical attitude. We should keep everything out into the open and above board. The AA program is wonderful, but we must really know it. We must all pull together or we'll all be sunk. We enjoy the privilege of being associated with AA, and we're entitled to all its benefits. But gossip and criticism are not tolerance, and tolerance is an AA principle that is absolutely necessary to group unity. Am I truly tolerant of all my group's members? Meditations for the day. Faith can move mountains. That expression means that faith can change any situation in the field of personal relationships if you trust Him. God shows you the way to move mountains. If you are humble enough to know that you can do little by yourself to change a situation, if you have enough faith to ask God to give you the power you need, and if you are grateful enough for the grace He gives you, you can move mountains. Situations will be changed for the better by your presence. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may have enough faith to make me really effective. I pray that I may learn to depend less on myself and more on God. July 22nd, AA Thought for the Day. One of the finest things about AA is the diversity of its membership. We come from all walks and stations of life. All types and classes of people are represented in an AA group. Being different from each other in certain ways, we can each make a different contribution to the whole. Some of us are weak in one respect, but strong in another. AA can use the strong points of all its members and can disregard their weaknesses. AA is strong, not only because we have the same problem, but also because of the diversified talents of its members. Each person can contribute part. Do I recognize the good points of all my group's members? Meditation for the day. And greater works than these shall ye do. Each individual has the ability to do good works through the power of God's Spirit. This is the wonder of the world, to the miracle of the earth, that God's power goes out to bless the human race through the agency of many people who are actuated by His grace. We need not be held back by doubt, despondency, and fear. A wonderful future can lie before any person who depends on God's power. A future of unlimited power to do good works. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may not limit myself by doubting. I pray that I may have confidence that I can be effective for good. July 23rd, AA Thought for the Day. We should remember that all AAs have clay feet. We should not set any member upon a pedestal and mark him or her out as perfect. AA. It's not fair to the person to be singled out in this fashion, and if the person is wise, he or she will not wish it. If the person was singled out as an ideal, AA has a fall. We are in danger of falling too. Without exception, we are only one drink away from a drunk, no matter how long as we've been in AA. Nobody is entirely safe. AA itself should be in our ideal, not in any particular member of it. Am I putting my trust in AA principles and not in any one member of the group? Meditation for the day. The inward peace that comes from trust in God truly passes all understanding. That peace no one can take from you. No person has the power to disturb that inner peace, but you must be careful not to let in the world's worries and distractions. You must try not to give entrance to fears and despondency. You must refuse to open the door to distractions that disturb your inner peace. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may not allow those about me to spoil my peace of mind. I pray that I may keep a deep inner calm throughout the day. July 24th, AA Thought for the Day. AA is like a dike holding back the ocean of liquor. If we take just one glass of liquor, it is like making a small hole in the dike, and once such a hole has been made, the whole ocean of alcohol may rush in upon us. By participating and practicing the AA principles, we keep the dike strong and in repair. We spot any weakness or crack that in that dike and make the necessary repairs before any damage is done. Outside the dike is the whole ocean of alcohol, waiting to engulf us again in despair. Am I keeping the dike strong today? Meditation for the day. Keep as close as you can to the higher power. Try to think, act, and live as though you were always in God's presence. Keeping close to a power greater than yourself is the solution to most of the earth's problems. Try to practice the presence of God in the things you think and do. That is the secret of personal power. It is the thing that influences the lives of others for good. Abide in the Lord and rejoice in His love. Keep close to the divine spirit in the universe. Keep God close behind your thoughts. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may keep close to the mind of God. I pray that I may live with Him in my heart and mind. July 25th, AA Thought for the Day. We are living on borrowed time. We are living today because of AA and by the grace of God. And what there's left is the lives we owe to AA and to God. We should make the best use we can of our borrowed time, and in some small measure pay back for part of our lives which we wasted before we came in AA. Our lives from now on are not our own. We hold them in trust for God and AA, and we must do all we can to forward the great movement that has given us a new leaf in life. Am I holding my life in trust for AA? Meditation for the day. You should hold your life in trust for God. Think deeply on what that means. You should hold your life in trust for God. Think deeply on what that means. Is there anything too much to expect from such a life? Do you begin to see how dedicated a life in trust for God can be? In such a life, miracles can happen. If you are faithful, you can believe that God has many good things in store for you. God can be Lord of your life, controller of your days, of your present and your future. Try to act as God guides and leave all results to Him. Do not hold back, but go all out for trust of God and the better life. Make good of your trust. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may hold my life in trust for God. I pray that I may no longer consider my life as all its own. July 26th, AA Thought for the Day. When we come to the end of our lives on earth, we will take no material thing with us. We will not take 1 cent in our cold, dead hands. The only things that we may take are the things we have given away. If we have helped others, we may take that with us. If we have given of our time and money for the good of AA, we may take that with us. Looking back over our lives, what are we proud of? Not what we have gained for ourselves, but what a few good deeds have done. Those are the things that really matter in the long run. What will I take with me when I go? Meditation for the day. Hallowed be thy name. What does that mean to us? Here, name is used in the sense of the Spirit. The words mean praise to God for His Spirit in the world, making us better. We should be especially grateful for God's Spirit, which gives us the strength to overcome all that is base in our lives. His Spirit is powerful. It can help us to live a conquering, abundant life. So we praise and thank Him for His Spirit in our lives and in the lives of others. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may be grateful for God's Spirit in me. I pray that I may try to live in accordance with it. July 27th, AA Thought for the Day. To paraphrase the psalm, we alcoholics declare the power of liquor, and drunkenness showeth its handiwork. Day into night uttereth hangovers, and night into night of showering suffering. The law of AA is perfect, converting the drunk. The testimony of AA is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of AA are right, rejoicing the heart. The program of AA is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the first drink is clean, endureth forever. Have I any doubt the power of liquor? Meditation for the day. Walk humbly with the Lord. Walking with thy God, practicing the presence of God in your daily affairs. It means asking God for strength to face each new day. It means turning to Him often during the day in prayer for yourself and for other people. It means thanking Him at night for the blessings you have received during the day. Nothing can seriously upset you if you are walking with God. You can believe that He is beside you in spirit to help you and to guide you on your way. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may try to walk humbly with God. I pray that I may turn to Him often, as to a close friend. July 28th. AA Thought for the Day. To continue the paraphrase of the psalm, the judgments of the 12 steps are true and righteous altogether, to be desired more than whiskey, yea, than much fine whiskey, sweeter than wine. Moreover, by them that are alcoholics warned, and in keeping of them, there is great reward. Who can understand our alcoholism? Cleanse us from secret faults. Keep us from presumptuous resentments. Let them have no dominion over us. Then shall we be upright and free of the great transgression. Am I resolved that liquor will never again have dominion over me? Meditation for the day. God can be your shield. Then no problems of the world can harm you. Between you and all scorn and indignity from others is your trust in God. Like a shining shield, nothing can then have the power to spoil your inward peace. With this shield, you can attain this inward peace quickly, in your surroundings as well as in your heart. With this inward peace, you do not need to resent the person who troubles you. Instead, you can overcome the resentment in your own mind, which may have been aroused by that person. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may strive for inward peace. I pray that I may not be seriously upset no matter what happens around me. July 29th. AA Thought for the Day. There are 2 days in every week about which we should not worry. 2 days that should be kept from fear and apprehension. One of these days is yesterday, with its mistakes and cares, its faults and blunders, its aches and pains. Yesterday has passed forever, beyond our control. All the money in the world cannot bring it back. We cannot undo a single act we performed. We cannot erase a single word we say. Yes, yesterday is gone beyond recall. Do I still worry about what happened yesterday? Meditation for the day. God will not suffer you to be tempted above what you are able, but with the temptation, He will be able to find a way of escape that you may be able to bear it. If you have enough faith and trust in God, He will give you all the strength you need to face every temptation and to overcome it. Nothing will prove too hard for you to bear. You can face any situation. Be of good cheer. I have come to overcome the world, so you can overcome anything with God's help. So fear nothing. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may face every situation without fear. I pray that nothing will prove too hard for me to bear. July 30th, AA Thought for the Day. The other day we should not worry about its tomorrows, with the possible adversities, its burdens, its large promise, and perhaps the poor performance. Tomorrow is beyond our immediate control. Tomorrow's sun will rise, either in splendor or behind a mask of clouds. But it will rise. Either it does, we have no stake in tomorrow, for it is yet unborn. Do I still have too much worry about tomorrow? Meditation for the day. Faith is of the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is not seeing, but believing. Down through the ages there have always been those who obeyed the heavenly vision, not seeing, but believing in God. And their faith was rewarded. So shall it be to you. Good things will happen to you. You cannot see God, but you can see the results of faith in human lives, changing them from defeat to victory. God's grace is available to all who have faith, not seeing but believing. With faith, life can be victorious and happy. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may have faith enough to believe without the results of seeing. I pray that I may be content with the results of my faith. July 31st, AA Thought for the Day. This leaves just one day, today. Anyone can fight the battles of just one day. It is only when you and I add the burden of those two awful eternities, yesterday and tomorrow, that we break down. Is it not the experience of today that drives us mad? Is it the remorse or bitterness for something that happened yesterday, or the dread of what tomorrow might bring? Let us, therefore, do our best to live but one day at a time. Am I living one day at a time? Meditation for the day. Give God the gift of a thankful heart. Try to see causes of thankfulness in your everyday life. When life seems hard and troubles crowd, then look for some reasons for thankfulness. There is nearly always something you can be thankful for. The offering of thanksgiving is indeed a sweet incense going up to God throughout a busy day. Seek diligently for something to be glad and thankful about. You will acquire in time the habit of being constantly grateful to God for all His blessings. Each new day, some new cause for joy and gratitude will spring to your mind, and you will thank God sincerely. Prayer for the day. I pray for a truly thankful heart. I pray that I may be constantly reminded of causes for sincere gratitude. August 1st, AA Thought for the Day. The Alcoholics Anonymous program was borrowed from medicine, psychiatry, and religion. It has taken from these what it wanted and combined them into the program which it considers to be best suited to the alcoholic mind, and which will best help the alcoholic to recover. The results have been very satisfactory. We do not try to improve on the AA program. Its value has been proved by the success it has had in helping thousands of alcoholics to recover. It has everything we alcoholics need to arrest our illness. Do I try to follow the AA program just as it is? Meditation for the day. You should strive for a union between your purposes in life and the purposes of the divine principle directing the universe. There is no bond of union on earth to compare with the union between a human soul and God. Priceless beyond all earth's rewards is that union. In merging your heart and mind with the heart and mind of the higher power, a oneness of purpose results which only those who experience it can even dimly realize. That oneness of purpose puts you in a harmony with God and with all others who are trying to do His will. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may become attuned to the will of God. I pray that I may be in harmony with the music of the spheres. August 2nd. AA Thought for the Day. Alcoholics Anonymous has no quarrel with medicine, psychiatry, or religion. We have great respect for the methods of each, and we are glad for any success they may have had with alcoholics. We are desirous always of cooperating with them in any way. The more doctors, the more psychiatrists, the more clergy and rabbis we can get to work with us, the better we like it. We have many who take a real interest in our program, and we would like many more. Am I ready to cooperate with those who take a sincere interest in Alcoholics Anonymous? Meditation for the day. God is always ready to pour His blessings into our hearts in generous measure. But like the seed sowing, the ground must be prepared for the seed it's dropped in. It is our task to prepare the soil. It is God's to drop the seed. This preparation of the soil means many days of right living. Choosing the right and avoiding the wrong as you go along each day, you are better prepared for God's planting until you reach the time of harvest. Then you shall share the harvest with God, the harvest of a useful and more abundant life. Prayer for the day. I pray that my way of living may be properly prepared day by day. I pray that I may strive to make myself ready for the harvest which God has planted in my heart. August 3rd, AA Thought for the Day. We in AA must remember that we are offering something intangible. We are offering a psychological and spiritual program. We are not offering a medical program. If people needed medical treatment, we would call in a doctor. If they needed a medical prescription, we would let the doctor prescribe it for them. If they need hospital treatment, we let the hospital take care of it for them. Our vital AA work begins when a person is physically able to receive it. Am I willing to leave the medical care to the doctors? Meditation for the day. Each moment of your day, which you devote to this new way of life, is a gift to God. The gift of the moments, even when your desire to serve God is sincere. It is not an easy thing to give Him many of these moments. The daily things you had planned to do, given up gladly, so that you can perform a good service or say a kindly word. If you can see God's purpose in many situations, it will be easier to give Him many moments of your day. Every situation has two interpretations, your own and God's. Try to handle each situation in the way you believe God would to have it handled. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may make my day count somewhat for God. I pray that I may not spend it all selfishly. August 4th, AA Thought for the Day. We, in AA, are offering a kind of psychological program as well as a spiritual one. First, people must be mentally able to receive it. They must have made up their minds that they want to quit drinking, and they must be willing to do something about it. Their confidence must be obtained. We must show them that we are their friends and really desire to help them. When we have their confidence, they will listen to us. Then, the AA fellowship is kind of a group therapy. The newcomers need to feel the fellowship of the other alcoholics who understand their problem because they have had it themselves. The individuals must learn to re-educate their minds. They must learn to think differently. Do I do my best to give mental help? Meditation for the day. And this is life eternal, that they may know thee. It is the flow of life, eternal, through spirit, mind, and body, that cleanses, heals, and restores, and renews. Seek ye, my child, conscious contact with God, more and more each day. Make God an abiding presence enduring that day. Be conscious of His Spirit helping you. All that is done without God's Spirit is passing. All that is done with God's Spirit is life eternal. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may be in the stream of eternal life. I pray that I may be cleansed and healed by the eternal Spirit. August 5th. AA Thought for the Day. We, in AA, are offering a spiritual program. The fundamental basis of AA is belief in some power greater than ourselves. This belief takes us off the center of the universe and allows us to transfer our problems to some power outside of ourselves. We turn to this power for the strength we need to get sober and stay sober. We put our drinking problem in God's hands and leave it there. We stop trying to run our own life and seek to let God run it for us. Do I do my best to give spiritual help? Meditation for the day. God is your healer and your strength. You do not have to ask Him to come to you. He is always with you in spirit. At your moment of need, He is there to help you. Could you know God's love and His desire to help you? You would know that He needs no pleading for help. Your need is God's opportunity. You must learn to rely on God's strength whenever you need it. Whenever you feel inadequate to any situation, you should realize that the feeling of inadequacy is disloyal to God. Just say to yourself, I know that God is with me and will help me to think and say and to do the right thing. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may never feel inadequate to any situation. I pray that I may be buoyed up by the feeling that God is with me. August 6th, AA Thought for the Day. Psychologists are turning to religion because just knowing about ourselves is not enough. We need the added dynamic of faith in a power outside of ourselves on which we can rely. Books on psychology and psychiatric treatments are not enough without the strength that comes from faith in God. And clergy and rabbis are turning to psychology because faith is an act of the mind and will. Religion must be presented in psychological terms to some extent in order to satisfy the modern person. Faith must be largely built on our own psychological experience. Have I taken what I need from both psychology and religion when I live the AA way? Meditation for the day. Refilling with the Spirit is something you need every day. For this refilling with the Spirit, you need these times of quiet communion, away, alone, without noise, without activity. You need this dwelling apart, this shutting yourself away in the very secret place of your being. Away, alone, with your Maker. From these times of communion, you come forth with new power. This refilling is the best preparation for effective work. When you are spiritually filled, there is no work too hard for you. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may be daily refilled with the right spirit. I pray that I may be full of the joy of true living. August 7th, AA Thought for the Day. We, in AA, are offering an intangible thing, a psychological and spiritual program. It's a wonderful program when we learn to turn to a higher power. With faith in that power can give us the strength we need, we find peace of mind. When we re-educate our minds by learning to think differently, we find new interests that make life worthwhile. We, who have achieved sobriety through faith in God and mental re-education, are modern miracles. It is the function of our AA program to produce modern miracles. Do I consider the change in my life a modern miracle? Meditation for the day. You should never doubt that God's Spirit is always with you, wherever you are, to keep you on the right path. God's keeping power is never at fault, only your realization of it. You must try to believe in God's nearness and availability of His grace. It is not a question of whether God can provide a shelter from the storm, but of whether or not you seek the security of that shelter. Every fear, worry, or doubt is disloyalty to God. You must endeavor to trust God wholly. Practice saying, "All is going to be well." Say it to yourself until you feel it deeply. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may feel deeply that all is well. I pray that nothing will be able to move me from that deep conviction. August 8th. AA Thought for the Day. For a while, we are going back to the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous, and pick out passages here and there so that they may become fixed in our minds, a little at a time. Day by day, as we go along, there is no substitute for reading the big book. It is our Bible. We should study it thoroughly and make it a part of ourselves. We should not try to change any of it. Within its covers is the full exposition of the AA program. There is no substitute for it. We should study it often. Have I studied the big book faithfully? Meditation for the day. All of life is a fluctuation between effort and rest. You need both every day. But effort is not truly effective until first you have had the proper preparation for it. By resting in a time of quiet meditation, this daily time of rest and meditation gives you the power necessary to make your best effort. There are days when you are called on for much effort, and then comes a time when you need much rest. It is not good to rest too long, and it is not good to carry on great effort too long without rest. The successful life is a proper balance between the two. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may be ready to make the proper effort. I pray that I may also recognize the need for relaxation.
August 9th, AA Thought for the Day. We have an allergy to alcohol. The action of alcohol on chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy. We allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all. We cannot be reconciled to a life without alcohol unless we can experience an entire psychic change. Once this psychic change has occurred, we who seem doomed, we who have had so many problems that we despaired of ever solving them, find ourselves able to control our desire for alcohol. Have I had a psychic change? Meditation for the day. Ask God in daily prayer to give you the strength to change. When you ask God to change you, you must at the same time fully trust Him. If you do not fully trust Him, God may answer your prayer as a rescuer does that of a drowning person who is putting up too much of a struggle. The rescuer must first render the person still more helpless until he or she is wholly at the rescuer's mercy. Just so much we must be wholly at God's mercy before we can be rescued. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may be daily willing to be changed. I pray that I may put myself wholly at the mercy of God. August 10th, AA Thought for the Day. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We who have found this solution to our alcoholic problem, who are properly armed with the facts about ourselves, can generally win the entire confidence of another alcoholic. We who are making the approach to new prospects have had the same difficulty they have had. We obviously know what we are talking about. Our whole deportment shouts at new prospects that we are people with a real answer. Am I a person with the real answer to the alcoholic problems of others? Meditation for the day. For straying from the right way, there is no cure except to keep so close to the thought of God that nothing, no other interest can seriously come between you and God. Sure of that, you can stay on God's side. Knowing the way, nothing can prevent your staying in the way, and nothing can cause you to seriously stray from Him. God has promised peace if you stay close to Him, but not leisure. You will still have to carry on in the world, but He has promised heart rest and comfort, but not pleasure in the ordinary sense. Peace and comfort bring real inward happiness. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may keep my feet on the way. I pray that I may stay on God's side.